Welcome, viewers, to the final call. And today I'll be giving an introduction about myself and how I became the leader of the final call. I have been a Christian 32 years. The first time the Lord spoke to me, I was 3 years old, and He called me from my bed in the night and asked me to open the living room door and look at my mother, who was sewing on the sewing machine late at night with a candle. And He said to me, "Do I see how hard she works at night when I'm sleeping?" And I said, "Yes." And then we had a wooden Jesus on the door, a wooden cross. And He said, "Do I see the silver man on the cross?" And I said, "Yes." And He said, "Okay, now go back to bed." I had one Britannica encyclopedia. It was a health one. And I started school around 3. And from the age of 5, He would let me bring home tracing paper and I started tracing the drawings in the encyclopedia. I never went to church as a child until the age of 4. I started going a little bit, but then because of domestic violence between my parents, we stopped at the age of 5. So by the age of 8, I had a burning desire to serve the Lord, a very serious desire. So there was a nunnery, a Catholic nunnery around the corner from our house. So I went to stand outside it and I said, "Lord, I love you so much. I just want to be with you. I want to be a nun." And unexpectedly, the nun opened the door of the convent. I don't know how she saw me. I think I was very, very tiny. And she said to me, "Can I help you?" And I became afraid and I ran away. But the intensity of the love inside me for God was growing. And then when I was 23, I had an encounter with Satan. And he killed me in the hospital. But before I died, I said to God that He should save my soul. I said, "Lord, I know I'm going to die tonight. But whatever happens, Lord, don't let Satan take my soul," which was the prayer that I prayed. And I went to sit on the bed and a vision appeared in the wall of a huge, massive Bible shining through the wall. And that was the last thing I remembered. And then I died. When I woke up, the Lord brought me back to life, and I woke up preaching the message of conversion, repent, and be baptized. I spent 4 months in the hospital, and they couldn't save me. They told me again I was dying, and they called my mother and told my mother that she should get ready to bury me. So she was working in BHS in Kilburn, and she ran from her shop and ran to the phone box and told the Lord that He's the only one who could heal me. And weeks later, I was well. And as a child, because of the deep love I have for God, I wanted to do something for God. And I had a love for Florence Nightingale. So I said to God, "I want to be a nurse." And then I said, "No, I want to be a doctor for you, Lord. I want to heal people for you." And that was the covenant I made. And then I also made another one, that I would have 4 children, raise them as Christians, and give my life to God. And so I've kept all those. But when I became a Christian, at the age of 25, the Lord, when I was in the hospital, I asked the Lord one specific thing. I said, "Lord, lead me to your true church," because there are so many churches. And He led me to the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And there I was baptized in 1992. And there I remained for many, many years, learning what He taught me to learn. In 1992, when I became a Christian, they asked me to give a testimonial of my life, and I told them that I wanted to be a doctor, but because of my children, having 2 children, I couldn't do so. So when I was in the hospital, the covenant I made with the Lord was that if He let me live to see my children grow, that I would give Him my life. And so that is the reason how I became a Christian. And so the second one was when the person asked me if I would go back to being a doctor, and I said I couldn't, because I obviously couldn't with 2 children. Then I went back to God and I said to the Lord, "If you train me, if you teach me and make me into your kind of doctor, then I make a covenant promise with you that I'll take your knowledge to the height of this world's power. But whatever I do, Lord, I'll never put my foot in any institution of learning. Whatever you teach me, that is what I will teach. And whatever you show me, that is what I will do." And He said, "Okay, fine." He shook my hand, as to say, and said, "Okay, I come into agreement with you. But 2 things. 1, you must tell everybody that you're trained by me. And 2, if you take my glory, I will kill you." So there, began the greatest relationship I've ever had with anybody. The Lord then took hold of me and trained me in making some of the most phenomenal medicines that formulas that have ever come to this earth, to be able to correct and balance, and I wouldn't say heal because the body is self-healing itself, but assist the body to recover from all different kinds of diseases. And I passed through so many different people at different stages. He taught me to study incessantly, deeply, very, very deeply. He would inflict me with a sickness and then tell me to heal thyself and send me off to the library. And I would then come back and research that illness for months and months and months. And then he would give me the formula with herbs for that illness. And then he would allow me to heal myself. And then he would send me lots and lots of people with that same condition until I graduated from that condition. Then he would start with another one. And that's how it was for 32 years. Until I covered many, many countries, teaching, preaching, and healing for the Lord. Until last year in Dubai, I finished my covenant at the Sparkle Foundation Gala in the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa. And I was able to finish, and he complimented me by putting me on the billboard on Sheikh Zayed Road to show that I told everybody, if God can take someone from a hospital, a sick bed, and bring them to the highest point in the world, then he can do anything. And so in 2001, he came to see me and said, Angela, I've got mighty work for you to do. I'm sending you to the Lost Sheep of Israel to tell them that on my way back, that whomsoever will obey me, that is who I will use. But he says, until I come, you will never cover all of the Lost Sheep of Israel. That was the first time I got this message. Then in 2003, I was going to pick my children up from school. I had got married and had 2 more children. And I was on the way to pick them up from school. And he said to me, Angela, if you are faithful, I will make you head of the 144. I'll make you head of my people. And I was like, what? He said, yes, if you are faithful. That was the second time. And then in 2021, he came back again and said to me, Angela, will you do something for me? And I was like, what, Lord? And he said, I want to send you out again to tell the world that I'm coming back. And I want you to give a message to the 144, to call them for me. I'm on my way back, and whomsoever will obey me, that is who I will use. Back in 2010, this was the main part of how I ended up in Ghana. The Lord came to me and he was weeping very, very badly. And he says, Angela, I want to station you in Ghana to save my people. They're dying unnecessarily. And I want you to heal them for me and teach them what they should eat. And then 2, out of Ghana will come a body of evangelists. He says, this is what he actually said. He said, Ghana will become the most powerful nation in the world. And out of Ghana will come a body of evangelists that I want you to teach and train, prepare for me, that they will take the power of the gospel from the West and bring it back to Africa. That was the mandate I was given. And then I said, okay, Lord, I don't mind. This was 2:21. I said, Lord, I don't mind as long as you go with me. He said, yes, I will go with you. But I need you now to gather the 144 for the sealing of the 144. And so I went to Dubai, spent a year there between Dubai and London last year. And when I came home, sadly, because my covenant was finished, Ministry of Healing was authorized to close. So it has closed, and I have opened another company called The Final Call, which is now based upon Revelation 7:1 and 2, which is the sealing of the 144, to gather the body of the first fruits of the Lord for the great, mighty commission of bringing the huge number without number of the second fruits, which is a great multitude. So my job is to gather the 144, disciple them, train them in health, train them in truth, to overcome every stain of sin so they can be sealed. And that is not a small work. I have been given a team by God. I'm thankfully I won't be on my own doing it. But I will be very grateful for those who are lay people who have been called by God into the ministry of lay evangelism to come forward now. We'll be doing a call throughout Ghana for those 100 workers who will be trained over a period of 3 years with the deep truth inside the Bible. There's a message for God's people inside the Bible that He has given me to teach to His people. It's an unlocking message, and it's a special message, a purification message for the 144. And that's what I'll be teaching. And I will give you certain keys in it, and I will teach it very slowly so you catch it well, because that is a sealing message. And the angel from the east is coming with the seed of the living God to place upon the foreheads of His people who sigh and cry for the abominations that is done within the house of God. The Lord is taking the reins into His own hands and taking His church back, because the church has now fallen to a very low standard and God is no longer pleased with His people. So it's a case of overcoming or getting cut off. So I would commission everyone to start taking their spiritual life very, very seriously, because the Lord will no longer be mocked. He will by all means lift up His standard, and He's not going to play anymore with His people. There will be a cutting off, there will be a purification, and there will be a cleansing in His church. So please, you have been warned, and the teaching will start. We will launch on the 1st of January 2025, and until date, He has told me that I'll be doing this work for the next 30 years. He said I will step down from the pulpit when I'm 90. So I know I have a lot of work to do. So I thank you for listening, and I pray that you will subscribe, share and like these videos so that you help me to fulfill this huge mandate that the Lord has given me, to prepare people for the great and dreadful day of the Lord. Thank you for listening.